Hello, everyone. Welcome. So today's guidance is on uh, recognizing and awakening to the impersonal, effortless being that we are, and awakening to this effortless being is actually very, very natural. And somehow in our mind, we feel like awakening or enlightenment are events that happen, and it requires a lot of practice and seeking, and it's very difficult, all these ideas that we have. So I just want to read something from Practicing the Power of Now. As you grow up, you form a mental image of who you are based on your personal and cultural conditioning. You may call this phantom self the ego, okay? Emphasis on phantom self. It consists of the mind activity and can only be kept going through constant thinking. The term ego means different things to different people, but when I use it here, it is a false self created by unconscious identification with the mind. Enlightenment means rising above thought. In the enlightened state, you can still use your thinking when needed, but in much more focused and effective way. You use it mostly for practical purposes. You are free of the involuntary internal dialogue. Okay. And another reading I want to share. This is from David Bingham. We are already the infinite being and always have been. We cannot be anything else. Around the age of 2, the subject-object mode of experience is installed to make it seem as though we are a human being existing in time and space. However, the very familiar and intimate sense of existing is the existence of the infinite being, which we have mistaken to be the existence of an individual. It is simply a case of mistaken identity. Okay, so we, the infinite being, identify with the body, and the subject-object mode of working is created, functioning is created. So this inquiry is inspired by inquiries done by David Bingham, where he guides people through this inquiry, and I'm just using that as an inspiration and based on that, but there may be slight changes. Okay. So Camilla has volunteered for the inquiry, so we can get started. And if all of you can also, just follow along as I'm working with Camilla. Okay. So closing your eyes and feeling the presence, the aliveness. Feeling the formless nature of yourself. This formless presence, this aliveness that you feel is what you are, what you have been eternally. This has never changed over the years and can never change. So feel into your truth for a few minutes. Now imagine yourself as a 2-year-old. Your eyes are closed and realize that it is the very same presence that you experienced. As this 2-year-old, you were not identified with the body, with a name, and you experienced life very effortlessly, naturally, spontaneously. Then people around you started calling you by a name. You, this formless, dimensionless, infinite presence, started hearing more of that name, and people linked that name to the form. And then the mirror was shown, and you were made to feel that you are that face, you are that body, this is your identity. You are a separate entity, separate from everything else. And many of you may have noticed that sometimes little children might use language like, Johnny is hungry. Okay. And then the parents correct. What they feel is correct is they say, no, you should not say Johnny is hungry. You should say, I am hungry. So even after the name is introduced, the child, the baby feels that there is a label, but it still doesn't feel it is me. You didn't still feel it was you. And then you were taught to say, I am hungry, I am thirsty. So the I construct, the separate self construct was added. But reality is still unaltered. The presence is still the presence. You are still that aliveness, the formless presence. Nothing changes, but experience changes because you have now assumed that you are only in the body and you are separate from everybody else. And now it is time to wake up to your infinite self again, to live in your completeness. So when you are made to feel that you are a separate body mind, you feel that life is happening to you. You feel that effort is needed to live this life. These are the misunderstandings that get created over time. Life is happening to a separate me, and I need to make effort to sustain myself in this world. Camilla, you can now open your eyes. And now we go into the impersonal mode, the mode that we were born with. Okay, I'm using the word mode just for clarity. In reality, there is only one way of living, true way of living. Okay, you can open your eyes. And just notice that this moment, this now, is happening effortlessly. This voice that you're hearing, you don't need to make any effort to hear it. Even the understanding is happening spontaneously. There is no need for a Camilla to kind of navigate. Just stay with me. So just notice that this now is happening spontaneously, effortlessly. Seeing of the objects in the room is happening spontaneously, effortlessly. No effort is needed. Sounds, shapes, colors, light. It's all happening spontaneously. So now we change the language, Camilla. So we say, instead of saying, I am seeing light, I am hearing a sound, we're going to change the language a little to a more truthful language. Okay. So we just understand that I will explain from my perspective how I'm experiencing the now, and then I will guide you, or I'll ask you what you are experiencing. Okay. In my experience right now, there is an awareness of light. There is an awareness of colors and shapes. So the seeing aspect of my experience, I reduce it to colors and shapes because that's all it is. That's how maybe a little baby will see. It doesn't really register anything. And sounds, the little baby does not differentiate between a car honk and the chirping of a bird. For the baby, everything is sounds. Sensations, the sense of the weight of the body and the sense of my hand on the cheek, both are sensations. So we're removing the differentiation, the discrimination, the labeling. Okay, so coming back, I'm seeing light. I see colors and sounds. Sorry, colors and shapes. I'm going to correct that. There is an awareness of colors and shapes. There is an awareness of sounds. There are different types of sounds, but there's an awareness of sounds. There's an awareness of sensations. This is the outer perceptions. Coming into the realm of the feeling realm and the thinking realm, there is an awareness of silence. If a thought arises, there will be a knowing that there is an awareness of thought. It's not my thought, awareness of thought. No discrimination between positive, negative thought. Just there is an impersonal awareness of thought. If there's any emotion, I would say there's an impersonal awareness of emotion. So right now, there's an awareness of a sense of peace. So you can see that we are impersonalizing a complete experience and realizing that life is unfolding beautifully without the interference of a mind which claims to be Camilla. And lastly, you realize that life is happening effortlessly, spontaneously, not to a me. It is just happening. Okay, Camilla, you can share. Begin the sentence where there is an awareness of. You can tell me what's in your experience. And notice that whatever you are aware of, it's so easy and effortless to be aware of. You don't need to make any effort.
There's an awareness of a body.
Yes.
And body sensation, emotional sensation.
Okay. And try to keep it as raw as possible, Camilla, almost like you're a 2-year-old. So you wouldn't know much, right? Don't stress too much about it, but as much as possible, keep it very raw. So there's an awareness of this sound, of this voice.
Yeah,
Go
there's
on.
an awareness of sound. There's there's an awareness of sensation,
Yes.
body.
Yes.
There's awareness of colors and shapes.
Yes. And can
And
you
there's
notice that the awareness of the colors and shapes around you is just so natural, effortless? Okay, go on.
there's an awareness of space in the room.
Okay.
And awareness of the feeling of the blanket under the body.
Yes. There's an awareness of that sensation. Yes. Is there any thought right now? Or is there awareness of silence?
There's awareness of thoughts and silence.
Okay. Okay, so there's an awareness of thought. Yeah. Just like how you are hearing this voice, thought is also a phenomena. So there is an awareness of that. And if you don't go into past knowledge or spiritual knowledge or any other knowledge, there's just awareness of thought. It's not a problem. What about emotions? Is there peace? Is there any other emotion you can say there's an awareness of?
There's an awareness of a trigger.
Okay. Just say emotion, Camilla. You wouldn't know anything like a trigger, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So there's an awareness of a emotion.
Yeah.
Yes. So that emotion is not owned. You are still that infinite, formless presence. Okay? Don't say it is mine. It is arising in awareness right now. It's not happening to Camilla, it is just happening. Can you see that you can actually live in the now in this impersonal, effortless mode? Right now, it may feel like you're doing it for a few minutes, but it is really your natural state. That's the way you are. That's the way you were when you were 1 year, 2 years old. Maybe even longer because the conditioning takes time. Okay, how does it feel now?
Quieter.
Good, good. And do you feel more openness, more feeling of expansiveness?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So just change the language like that and realize that the now is unfolding beautifully without that middleman, without that ego, middle woman, whatever, right? So interfering and claiming everything as first of all, labeling everything, dividing everything, making everything so heavy, adding meaning to it, and then claiming that life is happening to a me. So when we remove that notion, that misunderstanding, life is happening to a me, with the me comes a lot of past. There is a lot of limitations, a lot of beliefs. So when we understand that life is not really happening to a me, it is happening by itself, then life can flow from a higher, level of consciousness. A lot of times when we go to nature, when we see a sunset or when we are near the, ocean, suddenly we feel like so relaxed and calm, because that personal mode, that claiming of everything to be happening to me is dropped. The beauty of the nature, makes us go into that level of consciousness or facilitates that. And then the ego comes back and says, oh, this is beautiful. Let me take a picture, or I have to share it with my friends. Right? So that impersonal mode, that effortless mode is always there. It is the reality. The personal mode is what gets activated, and we don't have to live like that anymore. We can use the personal mode. For example, Camilla, if I ask you to, look at any object and tell me where you purchased it from, you can activate the personal mode and tell me, okay, this is so many years old, I purchased it here. So, but we don't need the personal mode all the time. We use it when we need it. When we don't, when it's the work is done, we can go back into the oneness. We can go back into the impersonal mode of living our life.
Yeah, it's like there's such a strong conditioning to be constantly judging and analyzing and trying to control.
Yes, and they're all just thoughts. And if you can decline that invitation, if you can do this, whenever you do this, when the invitation comes to again engage, you can just decline that invitation. Okay, so as you start declining the invitation, then the power also will come down. It's like, when you watch something on Instagram or YouTube, the moment you watch, you get more suggestions like that. So it's like that, these invitations are from the conditioning from the past, and they keep asking you to engage. But if you can, just be clear that I'm not interested. I don't want to live in this divided mode anymore. I want to live as the infinite impersonal being that I am. If you can stand in that truth, in whatever way possible, how much of a time possible, the invitations also will stop. Right now, we are engaging, so it keeps coming. Okay, I'm just going to quickly check. Cheryl, how are you doing? Hi, Geeta, welcome.
Hi, Sushita.
So I'll just take a feedback from Cheryl and Geeta. And if you all want me to guide through, I can do a smaller version of that, shorter version of that, if you want to follow the guidance.
What I was just reflecting on was when you were describing for us how you can be more grounded in the spacious dimension of being more as a home. And then we take periodic, sometimes more frequently, sometimes less frequently, excursions kind of into the personal mode when we need to do things that involve, well, sometimes other people, but tasks, all the tasks of managing one's house and life and finances. This week I had a number of fairly sizable tasks that I had to do, reading and some, kind of, I guess you could say, intellectual understanding. And I was pleasantly surprised that it kind of, maybe for the first time, some tasks I would have just said are thankless, stressful, make me contract kind of tasks. I didn't have that feeling. I had the concentration and focus to be present. Sometimes I took breaks, but I followed it through, and there might have been some fatigue, but there was still a sense of it happening within a more spacious awareness, and that was lovely. So I think that's a little bit kind of what you're talking about.
Yes.
That
Wonderful, Cheryl, that we do have that choice. And as we exercise that more often, life, we notice that it is so effortless, so natural, and we don't really need that voice in the head or the feeling that I'm separate from life all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
Like what
Does anybody
Pamela was
else?
saying.
Yeah, tell me. Cheryl.
Well, I just want to say lastly, earlier today, I had a lovely morning, really lovely, doing some of the practices, reflecting on your handout and the document that you sent us. And what I really just wanted to do was sit, staring out the window into space and the view. And I was aware of thoughts wanting to intrude, that they all had to do with activities that I thought I maybe should do next. Okay, what am I going to do now, kind of thing, or remembering conversations with people, or trying to plan, and I could kind of see it, and I just maybe, because I didn't have a lot of pressure today, I was just able to kind of sit with that and do a little bit of that inquiry. Who is aware of this arising? What's the nature of this arising in my mind? So anyway, those are some reflection.
Wonderful, Cheryl. And what happens is, it's not really concerned with the inquiry we're doing now, but each of us has a certain mode of the personal me which is stronger. So sometimes it could be control, it could be personal responsible me. So there's an inquiry, Cheryl. We will do that a little later because I don't want to mix things up. But when we keep inquiring, is there really a personal controlling me here? So we can loosen that that tendency of the ego. Each of us has a different kind of a tendency. So we can find what's the personal tendency for you and fine tune the inquiry so that, that mode of the thinking mind or that mode of the mind, each time you inquire, it's being seen. Earlier, when there's a feeling of responsibility, immediately you buy into it. Oh, I need to do this. It can wait, but you buy into it. And then, that energy keeps increasing. But if every time the invitation arises, if you can inquire, is there really a personal responsible me here and then we see that, it is not there. Responsibility flows through the body mind, but there is no me who is responsible. We will do that at some point of time. Okay, so does anybody else want to kind of go through? We won't do it completely, but if you can tell in your language, how are you experiencing the now, using that change in vocabulary, saying there is an awareness of, you prefix that there is an awareness of. If anybody wants, we can do that. Okay, nobody's volunteering. It's fine. So please, just try it on your own. Like I said, you almost go back to being that 1 year, 2 year old. You don't put much details into what you see. Anything that you see, even if people are walking, if you're just sitting out in your balcony, just saying there's an awareness of colors and shapes. You're going back to a very, primordial I don't know if that primordial is the word, but a very raw way of experiencing your world. So there is colors and shapes. So we don't go into the judgment, this person is nice, not nice, I like her, I don't like her. That's all coming with time, with the ego. So there's an awareness of colors and shapes. You look at the sky, you look at the tree, you look everywhere and just notice colors and shapes. Then what happens is all our ideas, our likes and dislikes, they just are not engaged in. And then sounds, a baby will not generally say, oh, that car honk, that's so irritating, right? For the baby, there is just sounds happening. And the baby won't really differentiate the sound I like, I don't like, this is my mother, this is my father. Of course, with time, it comes up with identification, but just sounds are happening now. Colors and shapes, there's an awareness of space. And there's an awareness of, the sensation of the body. And just experiencing life like that and coming a little what we feel is closer thoughts and emotions. We can say there's an awareness of thought. Don't claim it as yours, as an awareness of thought. And all of this is happening so effortlessly. That is the key. There's no absolute effort needed by Cheryl, right? Needed by Camilla. Nobody has to make that effort. Life is just happening spontaneously. And then you can conclude that life is happening for itself, because the soul came here to experience itself as a world. But then the ego entity took over and said, this is my life, right? I need to figure it out. So that way, we return, that life back to where it belongs, to the infinite, not from it's not really a person's life. And that's why we have so little control over it, right? No matter how well we plan things, what self-improvement we do and things like that, still life seems to be out of control because it never belonged to a person anyway, right? So the life of the divine is returned to the divine. Geeta, how was that for you?
Yeah, I'm just like loving the language that you're using. I see this as recording. I need to go back because I was almost going to I was almost going to ask you to please repeat because I want to just hear that again. Like, is this, like you said, is this kind of what we mean when we say like you and the universe are one?
Yes, exactly.
You and the universe are one. There's no I. You are part of the universe, so you're noticing things, but you're a part of that as well. You're a part of what's happening as well. It's not as
Yes. And like just like the waves are not separate from the ocean, Geeta. So we can't even say it is there is no separation, we can say, rather than saying like one, we would say like two units becoming one. It's not like that. There is actually no separation, and we don't have to understand this from the intellect because it will kick and scream. But we can go into this experience, and then you will realize that in the silence, as such, there is no division till a thought comes up and claims to be the body, saying, oh, I need to wake up early in the morning or something, right? Or I need to meet a friend. But the 1 or 2 year old baby doesn't really see life like that, right? So there is only oneness, and that's why the Advaita means not two. There was never any division, right? And that's why sometimes you might feel a total stranger, you might feel drawn to help, or a child is playing, it's not your child, or you don't even know who the child is, but if the child has fallen, you just feel that pull to go and reach out, right? Are you okay? And where does that come from? It comes from our shared being, the love. It's just more like veiled by our conditioning. Oh, be careful, don't help a stranger. We have all those conditionings, right? So even if we feel pull, sometimes we just hold back, but the pull is from the oneness.
I love that.
Mhm.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
so glad you resonated, because sometimes and this is completely new for me. Yeah. So, but I love this approach. Yeah. Miriam, how was it for you? Miriam, you're muted.
Oh,
Miriam, you're muted. Let's unmute.
maybe we can unmute her.
Yeah,
Yvette.
trying.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was muted.
Okay.
I was saying I didn't volunteer to do a second inquiry with you because I'm having technical difficulties. I'm
Okay.
losing power in my phone, power in
Ah.
my headphones. But I found it really, really quite amazing. Right before the session started, I had an extremely difficult phone call from a family member. I didn't think I was going to be able to sit through this, but
Okay.
I was able to leave my body mind into my more spacious self.
Oh.
And I was able to be that 2-year-old that saw the colors, the sounds, the firmness of the floor.
Mm.
I felt the air, the space, and it was really very therapeutic for me, given what had just transpired. But it was a beautiful inquiry, and I look forward to doing it again when I'm not as caught up, when I'm not as caught up in my life.
Okay. And even though you had that phone call, and the fact that you could sit through this is amazing, Miriam. It's not something I expected, but that is wonderful. Yeah. So now if there is a need to take action, it's going to come from a place of peace and not fear, right? And also, the healing will continue, friends. This inquiry is best done when we are neutral. So when emotional healing is needed, it would be good to just go back to the healing audio, work on your healing, and then come back to this. Right. And another thing, I just remembered is if you notice babies, how they taste different fruits and stuff. There is I don't know if you'll have seen those videos or you've had experience with children yourselves. There is a complete not knowing, right? And the reactions are so beautiful. So even the tasting aspect of our life, we can actually, just experience that with just a sense of tasting with no particular ideas. Right. So then like the way Miriam described her experience, though it was brief, she felt like the hardness of the flow. And so it's like we are here completely, not fragmented, not like superficially. So we're really here. So even the tasting, the smelling aspects also can be explored like that. And sometimes, I've seen that I'll go to a restaurant and, we feel like, oh, the food was great. And the next time you go, you're like, not so happy with it. I don't know if it's happened to you all. I think it's because of the expectations of the mind. So when you don't have expectations, when you're completely open, I think it feels you can actually experience it directly. But when we have ideas, then it takes away from the experience. So just one last thing is, just to make sure that you don't make this into a practice, because you are already the truth, right? And that truth, I've said it many times, is evident when we see babies, because they're like so peaceful, so joyful, and they have like a magnetic pull, right? You almost feel like so drawn, and you feel that overflowing love in your heart, and they just seem to just soften you. And we were that baby once, so that love, that unconditional love is still there. And we just have to understand that the personal way of working is a mode, and we definitely need it to live in this world. But we can activate it as and when it's needed, and we don't have to live like that all the time. The voice in the head is not needed all the time. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining me today. I'm like just so happy, and I hope to do more of these inquiries. I feel, awakening is very natural. It is our birthright, and we are here because those of you interested in this path are definitely here because we want to live that kind of life on a day-to-day basis, not on vacations, not, when there's an event at home and, things like that. We want to live every day like it's beautiful and, new. So I think, so I want to thank all of you for being here.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Shishita.
Thank you. Camilla, thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
You'll be on next week? Next week,
Yes.
same time?
Yes.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Have a nice night or day.
Thank you all. Thank you, Susita.
Thank you.